Hi, welcome to the Pinoy RN, a podcast that provides insight into a variety of subjects relevant to Pinoy nurses. Here's your host, Jerome Babate.
It actually started during my undergrad, wherein I was able to actually present um, my undergrad thesis in a couple of conferences, both in the Philippines and overseas. So that really helped me to, I guess, be exposed in the different, I guess in to the industry, both in the Philippines and even overseas. So after those presentations, I think it helped me to, or it actually gave me a platform to work as a research fellow for Department of Health in the Philippines, as well as for the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, so PCHRD. So I work with them, with the government, for almost 2 years. So I was working on a couple of public health programs, so including family planning, reproductive health, child health. I was also helping the department on some macro planning activities. And then after my career in the Department of Health, I work with a local USAID program, which is Luzon Health. So I traveled to different parts of the Philippines to provide technical assistance to a couple of LGUs, or local government units in Luzon area. And then after working closely with the community, I traveled to Australia to start my PhD. So my doctorate degree on epidemiology and public health. So my thesis was all about repeated teenage pregnancies. So meaning those teenage mothers who have at least 2 pregnancy episodes. So that really propelled me, I guess, further to my research career, not just in Australia but also in the Philippines. So I while studying in Queensland here in Australia, I was also given the opportunity to do a couple of training programs in India and in the UK. So that further enhanced my research skills on particular health issues, including mental health and gender-based violence. And so after my PhD, I actually, while studying my PhD, I was given a postdoctoral position. So it's a bit of a struggle to balance, during the end of your doctorate degree, having work and at the same time finishing up your thesis. So I guess that's so far the where I'm at. And so the research that I'm doing right now, it's mostly on adolescent health, mental health, as well as a couple of health systems evaluation. So apart from working as a postdoctoral fellow here in Queensland, I was also engaged by World Health Organization in the Philippines to do a couple of research for them. So that's sort of my career as of the moment. As a postdoc, it's really, really good to plan your day ahead. So I even before start of my week, I usually have a tick list or a checklist so that I know the things that I'm doing and I want to achieve for that particular week. But usually, typical day would be answering emails that really consume at least 2 hours of my day. But at the same time, couple of group meetings as well. So meeting. I usually have meeting with my teammates within our research group, and I then doing some analysis too. So doing a couple of quantitative analysis. And then I think the most important part of my day is the break time. It just gives me some space to breathe, but at the same time rethink the things that I've been doing, and just thinking about how will I tweak some of my tasks. So I think it's really important to take that break. But yeah, and I guess each day is different. So there will be days wherein I will be immersed with doing some hardcore analysis. But then there will be days when it's just all about engagement, meaning full of meetings with stakeholders and potential collaborators. So that's I think the first thing that you need to have is a clear, particularly with doctoral fellowship, or even I think it starts with even applying for a PhD degree. It's really important that you have a clear research interest, so that you know which university you would like to apply. Because in Australia, I feel like each university has its own specialization. So I think, well, at least in public health, there will be no university that's really better than the other, because each university, I feel, in my opinion, has their own specialization in public health, or in health sciences in general. So I think it's really important for them to identify which research area they're planning to specialize in. And then at the same time, I think it's really important for them to have good research background. Well, it's just because publications is really important. But then I guess in the Philippines, as I know that publishing in journals is not that easy. So I think it's important for them to also compile and reflect on the different written materials that they have, where they have contributed in. So meaning, even if it's an internal document, some in-press articles within their organization, I think it's important for them to compile that and showcase those written materials that they have developed, even if it's manuals, teaching manuals as well, just to really demonstrate that, number one, they can write, and number two, they can really do an excellent research. So I think those are the main things that I would advise. Oh, and then number three, and this will be my last advice, I guess, is looking at potential supervisors. So definitely having experts in your advisory team, meaning those senior researchers, is really good. But it's also important for them to also look at some mid-career research advisors as well, because usually they also learn a lot from that sort of generation of researchers as well. Because in Australia, you need to identify your advisory team in advance when you're applying for a PhD, but also for your postdoctoral fellow, so that you know which university will apply as well. If this particular person is in this university, then therefore that's where you will apply for your postdoctoral fellowship. I think that's it. I think it really opened a lot of opportunities. But I think that the bottom line here for me is just really changing perspectives. So working in UQ, particularly in the research institute that I'm at, we're really encouraged not to just focus on the field that you're at, but also try to expand your portfolio. And so that sort of attitude, at least in my research environment or working environment, helped me to think about other fields as well, and how will I be able to actually contribute in those other fields. So for example, although I am a public health researcher, epidemiologist, I'm also working with criminologists. I'm also working with psychologists in their own sort of specialized project. I'm also working with pharmacists. So that really, if as a researcher, if I'm not that open to those kinds of type of work or the kind of work, I think I won't be able to learn and at the same time expand myself a bit. Because as a postdoctoral fellow, it's important for you to really establish your expertise as a researcher. So it's really, really important that you try collaborating with people outside your field. And then at the same time, another thing that UQ influenced me in my personal or professional growth is also that thing you called work-life balance. So UQ is really, really pushing for work-life balance, and even in our team, we're really careful about how we work. Because definitely our priority is our family. So I think it's really, really important that, even if career is so important, it's also really, really critical for you to look at other things around your professional career. I think UQ is really telling us that it's not only the research career that your life should revolve around. Because when, I guess, focusing on more important things, such as your family, will actually help you to work better and will help you to have a clearer mind or clearer plans, I guess, on the different things that you want to pursue. Yeah. So I guess looking at work-life balance, considering your family, if you have a family, or considering your social life, I guess, or personal life is really, really important while pursuing a postdoctoral fellowship. I think Filipino nurses are really, really skilled and talented, and I think there's no question about that. Filipino nurses are well known for their best quality nursing care, not just in the Philippines, but even outside, particularly in Western countries. But I guess the advice that I would give to our nursing workforce is, as I said, I think I was emphasizing that a while ago, is really thinking or trying to work with people outside their team. I think that would really establish our capacity as nurses to, being that type of professional who can fit in different types of environment, who can work with different types of people. And I'm not just talking about clinical practice, which is, it's already happening, I guess, in the clinical practice. We collaborate with different types of health professionals. But I guess also in the academia, if you're in the development sector, it's really, really important that you extend yourself, you collaborate with people outside your discipline, because I think that's where we can really tell the world, or even tell other people, that as nurses, we're not just good at bedside stuff, bedside skills. We're actually good at dealing with other types of problems, other types of issues around the community. But at the same time, because I'm a researcher, I would also like to encourage our, especially those who are doing research, to really publicize, tell their stories, tell the stories of the people that they were able to engage with in their research. If they have an idea, I think it's really, really important for them to publish it. So not just really publishing it, but even presenting in conferences and stuff. I think it's important. What I'm trying to say is, it's really, really important that we tell the world how good we are in generating knowledge, generating innovation, because nurses are, amazing. It's an amazing profession. It's an amazing field in the health science or caring science. So it's important. It's now that it's the year of the nurses and midwives. It's important. It's, I think, okay for us to really brag about the things that we have done as as a global citizen.
Well, that's all for today's episode of Pinoy RN. Thanks for listening, and thank you to our guest for joining me today. Join us again next time when we talk about Filipino nurses and nursing. Make sure you subscribe to the Pinoy RN podcast on YouTube so you never miss an episode. Also follow us on Facebook at Pinoy RN Podcast. Special thanks to our event partners, Beta Nu Delta Nursing Society, Filipino Nursing Diaspora Network, Nursing for Humanity.